All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're going to break down a concept that quietly powers some of the biggest apps you use every single day, microservices. And believe it or not, the best way to understand it starts not with lines of code, but inside a super busy kitchen.
So I want you to picture this. It's a Friday night. The place is absolutely packed. You can hear the sizzle of pans, see orders flying back and forth. It's what you might call controlled chaos. Now, how a restaurant manages that chaos is the secret to understanding everything we're about to talk about.
So yeah, we're going to hang out in this restaurant for a little bit, because this whole idea, one kitchen, but with a whole team of chefs and staff, it's the perfect analogy for how the most powerful modern software is built.
Now, think about this. You could run this kitchen in two totally different ways. On one hand, you could have just one person trying to do everything. You know, they're taking the orders, cooking every dish, running the cash register, the whole shebang. What happens when they get swamped? Well, the entire restaurant just grinds to a halt. But what's the other option? A team of specialists. You've got someone at the front taking orders, a line cook on the grill, a pastry chef for desserts, and someone else just handling the bills. Each person is a pro at their one job, and because of that, the whole place runs like a dream.
Okay, so let's step out of the kitchen for a second and into the world of software. Because that exact same idea, one person doing it all versus the team of specialists, that is the fundamental difference between the old way of building apps and the new way.
So, the old way, that's what we call monolithic architecture. And you can probably guess which kitchen this is. It's our one-person show. The entire application, I mean everything, user logins, the product catalog, payment processing, it's all bundled together into one single gigantic codebase. It's just one big tangled block of code.
And the new way? Well, that's microservices. This is our kitchen dream team. Here, the application is broken up into a bunch of small, independent services. You have one little service that just handles logins, another one that just deals with payments, and another that just serves up product info. Each one does one thing and does it really, really well.
So, this idea of a specialized team sounds great, doesn't it? But how do you actually get all of these separate, independent little pieces to act like one single seamless app for the user? Let's get into how this team actually talks to each other.
Yeah, this is the really crucial question, isn't it? Back in our restaurant, the waiter and the chef and the cashier aren't just working in their own little bubbles. They have a system, right? A way to pass orders along, confirm when things are ready, and make sure the whole process flows smoothly. It is exactly the same for microservices.
At a high level, it pretty much comes down to three key steps. First, you give each service its own separate server to run on. Second, you connect them using something called an API. And third, you often give each one its own separate database. Let's break that down real quick.
So first up, servers. Every single service runs on its own back-end server. Think of it just like giving each chef in our kitchen their own dedicated station. The grill chef has their grill, the pastry chef has their own counter and ovens. They are not bumping into each other or fighting for space. That independence is absolutely key. Okay, next, how do they talk to each other? They communicate using APIs, which stands for Application Programming Interfaces. Honestly, the best way to think about an API is just like the specific, structured way a waiter gives an order to the kitchen. They don't just yell, "Hey, I need food." No, they say, "Table 5 needs 1 steak, medium rare, no onions." It's a precise language that everyone understands. That's exactly what an API is for software services.
And finally, we've got the data. Each service can have its very own database. This is kind of like the cashier having their own sales ledger that is totally separate from the chef's inventory list. The user service only worries about user data. The product service only worries about product data. Everything stays neat, tidy, and completely independent.
All right, so you might be thinking, wow, that sounds like a lot of extra complexity compared to just building one big app. And you're not wrong. So the big question is, why bother? What's the real payoff here? Well, it turns out the advantages are massive.
The benefits are just so powerful. Let's say it's a holiday sale and your payment service is getting slammed. Well, you can just add more power to that one service. You don't have to scale up the entire expensive application. And development gets way faster because small, autonomous teams can work on their own little service without stepping on each other's toes. That makes maintaining and updating things a breeze. And this right here, this is one of the biggest game changers. Let's go back to the restaurant one last time. If the pastry chef wants to add a new cake to the menu, they don't have to shut down the entire restaurant for the night, right?
They just update their dessert station. It's the same with microservices. You can roll out an update to the user profile service without taking the whole app offline. That is a huge deal for reliability.
And hey, this isn't just some abstract theory. This is the architecture that runs the modern internet. You think about the absolute giants, Netflix, Amazon, Uber. How do they handle millions of people all using their service at the exact same time? A single monolithic app would just buckle under that pressure. It is the microservices approach that makes their incredible scale even possible.
So as we start to wrap this up, what's the big picture here? What's the one main idea you should really walk away with?
It really all comes down to this. Instead of building one giant, clunky, tangled block of code, you build a flexible team of specialists that all work together. And that one simple shift, that's what creates applications that are built for the future. They're scalable, they're flexible, and they're just so much easier to maintain.
You know, this whole architectural style was the answer to the explosive growth of the internet. It's what allowed our digital world to scale to what it is today. And that kind of leaves us with a really fascinating question to think about. As our world gets even more complex and connected, what's the next big bottleneck going to be? And what brilliant new idea will come along to solve it?